I'm scared. I'm a little scared to see what that much time with my thoughts and my feelings and the freedom to be creative is going to bring out of me. Honestly, I am not sure what's going to happen. Am I going to get super bored with myself? Am I going to create something that I am just thrilled about? I really have no idea. Hey there, and welcome to the Your Creative Mind podcast. I'm your host, Isolde Trachtenberg. Thank you so much for being here. So I'm doing something radical for myself. I am doing what I call a Staybbatical. It's like a sabbatical, only I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying at home, kind of like a staycation. And here's why. A number of years ago, for a number of years, between Christmas and New Year's, my husband and our friend Mike and I rented a house in the Shenandoah Mountains in West Virginia. And we sort of the 3 days between Christmas and New Year's, three days, 3 nights, I think it was, we would do a retreat where we would just work on creative stuff. Sometimes it was drawing for them. They're both excellent artists. I'm not. They both draw really well. And I was writing or editing or something like that. And I just got so much done each time that after we moved to New York City and Mike moved away from the DC area also, we stopped doing it. We stopped going on this little sort of vacation / writing retreat. And I've been feeling the need to do it again because I got so much done. And so if I want a sabbatical like that, I am going to need to do something else. And that means what I've termed the Staybbatical. That's what I'm calling it. And what that means, and the reason I'm doing this, and you're hearing about this actually after the Staybbatical is over, because I'm recording the first part the day before I start this project. And then I'm going to record right after I finish on September 15th. And I'm going to sort of see the delta. You know me, if you listen to the show, you know that I love looking at the delta. What is the difference from before I start for my feelings, for my anxiety? I've talked about having anxiety on here before. For my creativity, for my exploration of art and creativity, for my writing, for my music. I'm doing a lot. But what I want to do is see where I am at with respect to mindfulness, with respect to presence, with respect to creativity, stress levels, all of that stuff before. And I will tell you, I'm pretty stressed and burnt to a crisp right now. I try not to be. I try to do things to mitigate that with Tai Chi and meditation. Sometimes, though, there's just, and you know this, you're busy. Sometimes there's just so much going on. There's so much to do. You can never rub 2 minutes together. Plus, I've talked about this on the show before, hyper-stimulated society we live in. Information, lights, sounds, everything comes at us incredibly quickly and all the time. We saw a wonderful show the other night, Josh Sharp's Tada, and it was at the Greenwich House. And the show itself was great. I loved it. But what was interesting to me about it is that the way Greenwich House is set up, they had painted, hello, hi, how are you? Welcome in big letters all over the black walls in these very bright colors, because that's part of Josh Sharp's show. And the sort of the conceit of the show, the concept of the show is that it's a one-person show, and he accompanies himself with 2,000 slides, like 2,000 PowerPoint slides. And so as he's got a clicker, and as he goes, the slides go with him. As he talks, the slides are saying often the same thing he's saying, but often they are the punchline, or they're making a profound point of some sort or another. I loved the show. I thought it was terrific. Staging, acting, everything. It was outstanding. And before we sat down, it was this light and sound bonanza everywhere. Just kaboom, boom, 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 boom. Lots of light, lots of sound. And I started feeling a little queasy because it was a little too much for me. And then we stopped off at Ben's Pizza in the Village to grab a couple of vegan slices. And there was a guy with a trike, with a tricycle motorcycle, and he had tricked his thing out with these speakers that I'm sure killed off a few of the kilohertz I can hear, because they were just ridiculously loud. And he was playing Michael Jackson, which I thought was great, Billie Jean and Thriller, but it was so loud. And it just it started making me queasy because it's too much. And so I've been finding myself just needing silence or quiet and time to be in repose because holy crap, it's just a lot. And don't get me wrong, I live in New York City. I live in what I consider to be the greatest city in the world. And yet even New York City can be sometimes too much if there's too much stuff coming at you at all times. So I decided to do this Staybbatical, and that means no social media except for what's already scheduled. This podcast, the episodes are already scheduled in advance. The last one I have scheduled right now is October 6th, I think. But so that won't stop. And the social media posting about that is already scheduled, about each of the episodes and what's cool about them, so that you can know what you're going to be listening to. And yet, I'm not going to be on social media. I'm going to try and stay away from news. I'm going to try and stay away from social media. I'm not even going to check email. I'm on vacation autoresponder set up. I've already paid all the bills for the next month. I'm just going to see some shows, and I'm going to go to parks, and I'm going to be writing a play and 2 books. I'm going to be practicing piano because, I'm loving practicing piano and I'm loving getting better at it. I'm almost at the point where I can sort of consciously and unconsciously play 2 different things with my hands and trust that I'm playing the right 2 different things, which is notoriously difficult for me because as a guitarist and as a violinist, you're playing radically different. You're doing radically different things with your hands between the 2 instruments. With the piano, they're fine motor skill, radically different things. And with your right hand, you're supposed to be playing the 3rd finger, but with your left hand, you're supposed to be playing syncopated 4th to 2nd. And how do you do that without breaking your brain? And so as an adult, I keep trying to learn the piano, but this time I'm actually learning, I think, really well. Anyway, so I'm practicing piano. I'm going to be doing my Tai Chi. I'm reworking my Yang style long form, which is a great way because what I do is I use the Brain FM app, which I've talked about this on the show a bunch of times. It saves my butt regularly. I put in the earbuds, I put in meditation. So Brain FM is playing me a meditation neuroscience music. And then I do Tai Chi while I am meditating with Brain FM. And it is freaking fabulous. I just love how I feel after I'm done. And I don't know what I feel while I'm doing it because I'm sort of zoning out into the process of doing the form, which ultimately is exactly what you want. And you want the kind of the same thing for yoga. So I'm going to be doing a lot of Tai Chi, a lot of yoga, spending time with my cats, eating healthy food, and trying to get a lot of rest. And it's going to be hard as all get out, especially for me, social media. I try to be on it at least once a day to sort of catch up with what's going on and do people have questions or whatever. And I'm also the president currently of the Sisters in Crime Writers Tri-State, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut chapter of this organization, and I'm taking a month off. And so I'm having to sort of figure out how to do all of that and make that work to give away to have somebody take care of some of the sort of weekly things I'm doing. Like I have to write the weekly emails. I've already scheduled those so that they're in through mid-October at least. So that's done. But if people have questions or whatever, I am not going to be checking email. I'm going to really try hard not to, because I really want to spend time sort of thinking and being chill and drinking tea on my balcony and trying to get back to a sense of relaxation, because I'm finding myself incredible. Like my anxiety's been through the roof for, I would say, years. And most of the time I just deal with it. I just go, you know what? You just have to push through. And I've started realizing that pushing through is not helping me. In fact, it's making things worse as far as my anxiety. So trying to push through anxiety means I am more anxious. Not good. And with the hypothyroidism, boy, I'm really just going all out and telling you everything today. Hypothyroidism is supposed to give you depression. Mine doesn't. I'm not normally a depressed person, but when I start feeling depressed, I go, oh, my thyroid must be off. And usually that's the thing that indicates it. With anxiety, I come by my anxiety through a lot of stuff that happened, living in a war zone when I was 6, having abusive parents, there's a lot of different things I'm sort of dealing with, especially right now. And I'm trying to figure out how to do it so that it's healthy for me. And I'm thinking that this time to do that will be really good for me. And I'm hoping it is. I'm really seriously hoping that it is good for me to do that, because if I'm not doing this in a way that feels good and true to me, then why bother doing it? And the thing is, I've never done this before. Okay. I've never done anything like this before. The longest I've been without actively working or having a job was, what? Before, let's see, I was 13. So 45 years ago. Yeah. Amazing, right? Yeah. I was 13 years old when I started working at an ice cream store, and I was working full time in addition to going to school and doing lots of extracurriculars and taking care of my little sister, and life at home was crazy. Is it any wonder I went hypothyroid when I was 16 years old? So I went on my honeymoon for 10 days. And other than that, I have worked at least full time, usually way more than full time, for 45 years, with no breaks longer than those 10 days of my honeymoon, and most breaks no longer than 3 days. And there have been lots of times when I'm working 7 days a week. And I remember actually, this is back when I worked at the Information Prospector. And this is sort of my second job out of college. And I ended up working my patootie off. I was working 80, 90, 100-hour weeks, usually even longer. And I remember at some point saying to somebody who was a friend of mine, "Oh, wow, I haven't had a day off in like 5 months." And the person who looked at me, who I was talking to, and I don't even remember who it was, said, "Isolda, lots of people haven't had any days off in 5 months." And I'm like, no, I've been working 7 days a week. I have not had a moment off in 5 months, working 7 days a week, usually 12 to 14 hours a day. And they were like, "Oh, that's different. I thought you were talking about weekends off." No, I was working 7 days a week. And I ended up doing that a lot in my life. And now I'm kind of going, I think I don't want to do that so much anymore. And what's interesting to me is that I'm scared. I'm a little scared to see what that much time with my thoughts and my feelings and the freedom to be creative is going to bring out of me. Honestly, I am not sure what's going to happen. Am I going to get super bored with myself? Am I going to create something that I am just thrilled about? I really have no idea. And that's a little scary, but I'm also excited to see what happens. And I also want to extend huge thanks to my husband, who, when I told him I wanted to do this, like pay all the bills in advance, save up money so that I can take care of things for a month, work my patootie off beforehand so I can do this, Staybbatical, he just went, "What can I do to make this easier for you?" And Rich, if you happen to listen to this episode, thank you for doing that. Because I had to move all of my reading clients up or back. I had to finish all of my responsibilities. I paid the bills early. I'm meeting with the Board of Sisters in Crime, as I said, literally this evening, so I can ask them to divvy up my ongoing responsibilities. By the time this episode airs, I will have already talked to the Philosopher's Stones, my group that I've been leading and managing since 2003, so 22 years. I am stepping back. I have stepped back from it. I will no longer be the leader and the manager. And instead, I will be asking the two designated people, Valerie and Mindy, to do that. I will, if I have a gig that comes in for them, I will contact them. And I will say, "I need a quartet for December 9th to sing SETB carols at this and such corporate party. Can you get me a quartet?" And if they can, great. And if they can't, I'll just go, "Okay, thank you." And I will let whatever client contacts me for it, know that I can't fill the gig. There are lots of reasons for doing this. The biggest of which is, honestly, they're down in the DC area and I'm in New York. And I feel like I've had one foot here in New York and one foot there musically for these 6 years that I've lived in New York. And it's time to change that. So I am stepping back into this role of just being sort of an agent and nothing else. And it's going to be interesting to see how I do with that and how we do with that. In a way, that's also another experiment. Woo, to being experimental at 58. Anyway, the only thing I couldn't finish was one project, and that's because the client hasn't been able to get her part done to get everything to me so I could do my part. And it's tough because we started this project really November of 2023, and things take a long time for her to get things done for me to be able to do my part. And I was really hoping I'd be able to finish everything that I needed to finish so she could really test the crud out of it before I go on this Staybbatical, but I don't think we're going to do it unless she somehow manages to get me all of the information, and I can do it after my meetings tonight before midnight, because that's the thing. If I can't do it before midnight, I'm done. I'm holding to this that I'm not going to do any work of that nature for a month. And it's so scary, but it's going to have to wait until mid-September. That's it. And yet I'm trying not to feel guilty about it because she's known that I was going to do this for a month, over a month, I think. And yet, like, it's so interesting that when you making myself a priority like this, saving all the money to be able to do this and working my patootie off to give myself this opportunity, I still feel guilty. I still feel anxious that I might not be everywhere all at once for a few weeks. And that's because I'm used to fixing things and I'm used to taking care of everything. So giving myself permission not to have to do that is a little overwhelming, and it sparks some anxiety. But I think it's the right move. I really do. And so what you're going to know from me for this is this right now. I'm going to finish this part up and give you a little musical interlude, very short. And when I come back, it'll be September 15th, the day after I've finished, and you will get sort of a breakdown of, and hopefully I won't have broken down, but hopefully I'll be able to give you a delta, a difference between before I started this little experiment and after. So this is Isolde Trachtenberg signing off until 4 weeks from tomorrow. And I'm back. It's just about 4 weeks later. You gotta love the miracles of modern technology. So I promised you that I would tell you what I learned in this Staybbatical. I learned a bunch. I learned that I say yes too often to things that I probably shouldn't say yes to. I know that there are a lot of people who are like, oh, say yes to everything. The power of saying yes. Say yes and great things will happen. And sometimes you say yes and a bunch of stuff is dropped on you and you go, crap, this takes me away from the things I actually wanted to say yes to. And I found myself doing that. And I worked a lot more than I probably could have for this whole thing. So it wasn't as much of a stay loose and meditate and write down your dreams and act on those as it was do this bit of work, do that bit of work, do this bit of work. I didn't see any clients, but there was a lot of other work that I needed to get done. So it's interesting how hard it is, how hard I found it to remove myself from the work that I felt like I, quote, should be doing, and instead focus on the things that I wanted to do and really felt like I needed to do. So that's a big lesson for me is before I say yes to anything else, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to sort of go, okay, I'm going to take a beat and I'm going to wait and I'm going to figure out whether or not this thing that I immediately, it's not that other people are pressuring me to say yes, it's that I immediately say, you should be doing this. You could be helping this person. You could be, and sometimes helping someone else is great. And sometimes it's detrimental to you. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever done that? You're like, oh, this isn't the best thing for me, but they need my help, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And that's me historically. So yikes. So that's one of the things that I've realized is that I need to, for myself, stop doing that and start being more discerning about when I help whoever it is who's asking me for help, when I take on extra work that I didn't have to take on. And this is not to say that it's all awful. It's not. And I'm going to do it because I made the commitment to do it. And here's the thing, that's the problem. It's I made the commitment to do it and therefore I'm going to do it. It's not because, oh, I'm having the best time or, oh, I'm loving this. And in that case, if I'm trying to take care of myself, sometimes you have to say no to the things that people really want you to do in order to do the things that you really want to do. And that when there's that sort of conflict, you have to figure out for yourself how much of that you're willing to take on. And I've learned the lesson. It's going to take me a little while to extricate myself. And I may not ever actually extricate myself. I may just go through and finish up the commitment because, again, I committed to it, but I know better for next time. And from now on, I'm just not going to say yes unless I've really weighed the pros and the cons. And that's so important for me because I'm usually, yes, I'll help you. Yes, I'll take care of it. Yes, I'll take that responsibility on kind of person. So if that's the only thing I learned from my Staybbatical, that is awesome. So that's very exciting for me. What are the other things that I've learned? Well, I've learned that I give away a lot of my knowledge for free. And I've talked about this on the show before. Gary Vaynerchuk popularized this. Keep giving it away for free and people will eventually want to pay you for all the things that you are doing. To which I say poppycock. My experience has been give it away for free and people come to you and go, I want more of that for free. They don't tend to go, oh, you've given me so much value that I want to now pay you to give me more value. No, they go, oh, you've given me so much value that now I want more value for free. And I kind of have decided no from now on. And I just last night met with someone who wanted my help with developing sort of a strategy to get their brand out there, to get their marketing a little bit better, to get sponsorships that are a little bit stronger and affiliates and things like that. And I met with him and gave him all sorts of cool information. And then I sort of went, and this is my last one for free for anybody. So if somebody wants my advice from now on, there's a thing. And I'm not trying to sound defensive. I'm just sort of putting up the boundary. And the reason I'm putting up the boundary, I read this, a version of this quote somewhere, and I'm really living by it. And that is, the only people who get angry when you set boundaries are the ones who took advantage when you didn't have any. And that's like my quote of the year because I tend not to set boundaries. I tend to go here, take until I'm empty. And then I realize I haven't filled my well because I've emptied myself out helping everybody else. And wow, I'm getting real and raw with you. Sorry, but that's really where I am and that's what I'm feeling. So I kind of went, okay, what are my boundaries there? And so I told the man I helped yesterday that he's my last free person. And so from him, I asked for a quote. I said, if you got something out of the help that I just gave you, of what I just told you, give me a quote. So it's not that I'm going, everything has to be transactional, but I think a lot of things, and especially business, I know Gary Vaynerchuk and his ilk are going, no, give it away for free, give it away for free. And I'm kind of going, give some away for free, but don't give all away for free because what my experience has been is people just go, I want more of it for free. And I'm not willing to do that anymore. So to that end, and in a bright way, not in a, God darn it way, I have opened a business and it's called Crossroads Marketing Consulting. And what that is I have all of this knowledge on how to elevate your brand and how to market for yourself and how to, especially for artists, how to gain a bigger foothold And so far, I've given a lot of that stuff away for free, and I've stopped doing that as of last night. So, Crossroads Consulting is going to be that thing. And so that's kind of where I'm moving into. I want to help people, but I can't help people for free. Not everything, not with everything, right? So that's another thing the Staybbatical has taught me. Don't give it away for free. Not This podcast is always free, unless you feel like, well, the podcast remains free, but if you want to support the Patreon or the Buy Me a Coffee, that would be cool, because that helps me keep the show going. But the other stuff, the stuff that people contact me out of the blue and go, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Can you do this for me? Not anymore. I can help you for 15 minutes if you want to book a discovery call. But after that, the Staybbatical taught me once I started really looking at sort of what are the delineations of how I spend my time when I'm working, because I kept working during the Staybbatical because I kept finding things that needed to be done. And when I looked at sort of the diagram, if you will, of how I'm spending my time, a lot of my time is spent either creating and giving away for free, because that's the paradigm artists have been taught, or giving away knowledge for free. And that's an interesting thing, because I was taught from early on, help everyone all the time, as often as they need it, and be there to pick up all the pieces, even ones that aren't falling yet. And that's my programming, right? But why is that important? It's important because in those moments when you're helping, what are you actually doing? Are you helping people who actually could be doing it themselves and could be learning the lessons, learning the knowledge that they need to make even more progress on their own? And are you standing in their way somehow? And that's a really interesting point for me. And again, I've been thinking about that in the Staybbatical as well. What am I doing? How am I doing it? And am I actually helping, or am I enabling? Ooh, an excellent question. So Crossroads Consulting is coming, and I'm very excited. And I don't know what that means for this particular podcast. I think this podcast is going to keep going on the creative side of things and more towards writing and theater. And I may be starting another podcast all about Crossroads Consulting, sort of how should and how can artists and creatives market for themselves so that they're doing it in a substantive way, and sort of stand in the face of the paradigm of give it away for free, but yet don't quit your day job. Those are the conflicting things artists hear all the time. And artists deserve to be compensated for their art and their craft, on par with, in my opinion, lawyers and accountants and everybody else who is getting paid for what they do, for their expertise, and artists keep being told, no, keep your day job and then do your art in your free time. And it's interesting, isn't it, how you hear that and you kind of go, yeah, that makes sense. No, if you're an artist, you do deserve to do your art for fair compensation. Okay, so what else has the Staybbatical taught me? The Staybbatical has taught me that I'm not crazy about crowds. And it's interesting that I'm living in one of the more crowded cities on the planet, but I really realize just how much I relish alone time, but not just alone time, but alone in public spaces time. So one of my favorite places to go is the terrace on the 7th floor of the Stavros Niarchos Public Library in Midtown. And there are always people there working, but it's quiet. And you're 7 stories up from 5th Avenue and 42nd Street or 40th Street, something like that. And the main branch of the New York Public Library is right across the street from you. It's hustling and bustling down there, but up on the terrace, you're sort of over it all, and you are calm and you are peaceful. And there are other people who come and take pictures of Midtown because the views are great. But most of the people who are there are either eating their lunches or working. And I found that is a really special place to be. Like, I go to Prospect Park, for example. I ride my bike and there's hustle and bustle all around me, but I set up my little chair and I bring my computer and I write. Even though I'm in the hustle and bustle in the middle of New York City, I do the same thing in Bryant Park, the same thing in Central Park. On the High Line, I go there and I write. I grab one of the little chairs or benches and I just put out my computer and I write. And people are walking by me, and it's hundreds upon hundreds of people every day, if not thousands, depending on the season. But it doesn't matter. I'm sort of in my own little bubble, but yet I'm able to see and witness everything going around me. So this is my long-winded way of saying, if you are trying to create and it feels like you're not in the right place, feel free to explore where are the better places for you to create. Maybe it's too busy for you. Maybe it's not busy enough. Maybe it's too loud. Maybe it's not loud enough. I know a writer who writes best when she is in a bar with a band that's screaming at the top of their lungs. I could never do that, but it works for her. It depends on who you are and what feeds your creative soul. That's another way of looking at it. Okay, so what else? Asking for help is another thing that I have been looking at a lot during this Staybbatical. I found myself, my husband was traveling a lot, and he, before I started, went, "What can I do to help you?" And I sort of gave him the things that I thought I would need from him, but then he wasn't there. So all of the take care of the house stuff fell to me, and that's fine. I mean, I love my cats. We're not neatniks, so it's not like the house is always in great shape. But the point is that I needed to beforehand set boundaries on that too. What are the things that I was going to expect of myself to do? And what are the things that I could let go of? Like feeding the cats, petting the cats, watering the cats, doing all of that? Absolutely, of course. But taking care of some of the other things that I felt compelled to take care of, I could have let them slide. And I didn't. So that's interesting. That's another sort of lesson learned for me if I ever do this again. As I said, I didn't see any clients, which felt really weird, but it was good. And I kind of went, okay, it's going to be okay if you don't see clients. Don't worry so much. It's going to be fine. It's going to be, and it is. It's fine. I saved my pennies and did this, even though I did do some work, as I said, because I had deadlines on things. But that's another lesson, I guess, is like push all your deadlines too, instead of just going, oh, I'm just not going to work. No, I did work plenty. And it would have been nice if it was work that, if it had been work that fed my soul, all of it, that would have been great. But I don't know that anybody can just take that kind of time off and just do the things they love. Maybe if you're out there and you've done it, I'd love to hear how, because for me, I felt too guilty and I had to start doing some of that work in order to feel better about taking this time for myself. And then the self-care aspect of this, I did Tai Chi and have made great progress in remembering the form because I'd sort of gotten out of practice of the whole form. So I made great progress in that, and that was cool. And I was riding my bike all over, which was also incredibly cool. And I also realized, to go back to the whole crowds, I love the fact that New York City has public transportation. I cannot do it anymore. Too many people, too many scents, too many fragrances. And I ride the subway and I always come out with a stuffed up nose or runny nose and sore throat. And so one of the things I'm going to be trying to do a lot more is ride my bike. And that's going to be really great. I'm very excited to have that opportunity because when you ride your bike, if someone's smoking right next to me, I can just pull away and ride away. I don't have to stay there. If you're in a subway car, you're stuck until the next stop or until whenever you can get out or whatever. So it's about boundaries, but it's also about self-care. So I guess those are the main things that I learned. Oh, and I got ideas for a bunch more stories and books, and I'm very excited about that. And the piano, I forgot about that. I've been playing the piano 20 to 30 minutes every single day and loving it. That's been incredibly cool for me. And it's because I'm writing that musical and I want to be able to write a lot of the duets and things on the piano because otherwise I can't play multiple notes at the same time. And the cool thing is if I write it on the piano and then I play it into Logic Pro, here's a little tip from me to you. One of the things that Logic Pro does is if you record it that way, using certain settings, you can then select an option to see the score. So if you record it, you can then literally see the notes as written as you played them. So there's your score for the songs that you're writing, which I just love, because that means that you can take that and give it to any musician who knows how to read music, and they'll be able to read it for you. How freaking cool is that? So that's the long-term goal for that. And I know I'm starting way late. Most people, if they're going to be pianists of any sort, start when they're very young. And I originally started in my 20s and kept giving up. And now at just about 59 years old, holy crap, I keep realizing I'm about to be 59. The last year of this decade, one of the things that I'm very interested in is just keeping growing to the point where I've put the guitar away and I've put the violin away, and the only thing I'm focusing on is the piano, because I want to write songs, because I want to write musicals, because I want to write plays, and I'm having a great time with that. So that's another thing this Staybbatical really clarified for me, is theater, writing, ultimately is going to be where it's at. Even though I still have fiction stories to tell, I have so many new ones, and I'm doing one that is for a really cool anthology that I can talk about at some later date. But it's all crime writing, it's all crime fiction, and who knew that I was gonna? Well, actually, I should have known, with my abiding love for Nancy Drew's mystery stories from when I was like 11 years old. And then loving spy novels and loving mysteries, Agatha Christie and Dashiell Hammett and all of the, our Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, all of the great writers, Sarah Paretsky and Janet Evanovich, and you name the mystery writer, I probably love them. With how much I love those stories, it's not surprising that I love writing those stories. So I imagine I will keep writing all of those kinds of books as much as I can. But theater's where it's at for me, I think. So there you go. And the last thing I learned is, it is too easy for me to watch TV. That's, I love British mysteries on television, so that's what I watch. And that's not always a good thing, right? You need to, as a creative, you need to create. Yes, I know sometimes you need to fill the well. And I do. I watch British mysteries when I'm exhausted right before bed. And it does help me fill my well, but I also could be writing. And so that's the other thing this Staybbatical has taught me is do more of that and less of filling the well in that way. So yeah, a lot of boundary setting in this Staybbatical, a lot of sort of figuring out where I want my boundaries to be and how I want to focus them. A lot of clarity on the work that I want to be doing versus the work that I have to be doing. A lot of clarity on don't say yes so quickly. Really think about the commitment you're making before you make it, because sometimes you make the commitment thinking it's going to be one thing and then it turns into something else, and that's not cool. But I got the clarity, and that means that as soon as I am able, I will be taking action on some of those things. Alrighty, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I know that it's a little weird one, but I really wanted to sort of focus in on what I wanted to have happen and on what I ended up having happen. And I think that's cool. I'm very excited about it. I hope you enjoyed it. And that's about it. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I think I've said that like 14 times already. In the meantime, this is Isolde Trachtenberg for the Your Creative Mind podcast, reminding you to, as always, be curious, be creative, and most of all, be kind. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and it would mean the world to me if you told a friend about it. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright 2025. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope.